IPL?
These are IPLs, or India Pale Lagers, and I'm pretending it's already summer. Here in Sweden, it's still a couple of months away, but to me, this is the perfect summer beer style. So what has India to do with these beers? Well, nothing. But if you know your beer history, it kind of makes sense. So the story goes, in the 1800s, you transported beer from Britain to India. And for the beer to not go bad during the long journey, you added extra hops. And that is said to kind of have created this new style. Now, if we move forward to the 1970s, 1980s, American brewers were experimenting with adding more hops to the American ales. And somehow they got the idea to pick up this old name and call the beers India Pale Ales. Now this was a new style. It didn't taste the same as the old English India Pale Ale. For one, you used the new American hops, but somehow this name was a great selling point, and the new American India Pale Ale became a big hit around the world. So then, if we move forward a few more years to the 1990s, early 2000s, the Americans again experimented with a more hoppy lager. And then, of course, the logical name for that beer became India Pale Lager. So we are going to go through these one by one, but my expectation is they will kind of smell like IPAs, but they will taste cleaner and lighter. By the way, I didn't mean to have 11 beers on the table now, but I have randomly collected these over the past couple of months, and now I need space in the fridge again. Let's start with maybe the most famous of the bunch, Brooklyn Lager. Now, unfortunately, this brewery is one of those who license their brewing to different countries. So this is actually brewed in Sweden, and I haven't been able to get the true American one. And if you have seen my video about Heineken, where I actually compare the Swedish brewed and the Dutch brewed, there was quite a big difference. Mostly the Swedish one was more malt forward, and maybe this one is as well. Of course, the recipe is overseen by Brooklyn Brewery, so it should be pretty close. But let's see what we have on the nose. It actually has a pretty malty aroma, compact kind of rye bread, but also a lot of fruity notes like apricot, orange, red berries actually, all mixed together into a marmalade, and maybe some lemon in there as well. Let's have a taste. Cheers. A little bit of a boozy punch actually, that's strange. Medium bitterness, nice herbal bitterness, almost like it's traditional European hops. You still have that marmalade, orange and apricots. Very pleasant aftertaste. It's like when you make a bread with extra herbs. It's only 5.2% ABV, so that boozy punch is probably something I'm just imagining. It's some spice or something that makes me think it's boozy. It has something a bit sweeter as well in there. It's not quite syrup, maybe a hint of butterscotch or something. Well, I enjoyed that. We'll compare everything in the end. It didn't really have any of those tropical notes that I, in my mind, think that IPLs maybe should have. Let's move on to a beer from one of my favorite breweries, Nynäshamns Ångbryggeri. This one is called Lilla Hawaii Lager, which of course means Little Hawaii Lager. Oh yeah. I have had this before, but I can't really remember what it tastes like. Oh, I can already sense a different kind of smell here. It's not maybe tropical, but more of that orange, you know, really ripe, juicy orange aroma. Maybe actually there is a little bit of pineapple there. A little bit of stinging nettle. I can't really find the malt actually. Yeah, fruity. It smells promising. Let's have a taste. Skål. Oh yeah. This is almost difficult to tell the difference between IPA and this beer. It is a bit lighter somehow, I think, but you have an explosion of fruity notes compared to the Brooklyn Lager. Also a bit of a piney bitterness. You have a soft malt base, kind of like white sourdough bread, but it's just there in the background. You have lots of orange. You have orange zest, a little bit of grapefruit, and the pineapple was in the aroma, but not really in the flavors. But yeah, a fantastic beer. So let's move on from Little Hawaii to actual Hawaii. This is the brewery Kona. They are all kind of amber so far, but this one is called Longboard Lager. I got curious and looked at the map and was shocked of how far away from the US Hawaii actually is. I mean, it's almost halfway to China. They seem so isolated over there. It would be pretty cool to visit Hawaii someday. The head disappeared quickly. Let's see what the aroma tells us. Like a meadow in the early summer. It's flowers, it's some sort of jam made of dark berries. It smells pretty sweet, like a cake almost. Some lemon as well. And again, not much of a malt base in the aroma. Honey, maybe? Let's dig in. I will butcher this, but kiaha. The sweetest so far. It's like you made a pretty sugary cake with oranges and lemon. There's a little bit of a herbal note, but low bitterness. I'm also thinking of, you know, you can buy apricot halves in a can with kind of the sauce. Right now, actually, even for me, maybe it's too sweet, but then again, maybe perfect in summer. Let's move on to Innis Gunn's lager beer, because I think this is drier, if I remember correctly. So this one is from the UK, it's from Scotland, and I have a friend that loves all their beers, but I haven't really got into them, you know. But I will give this another go. It almost smells barrel-aged. Maybe it's because I know they barrel-age many of their beers. It doesn't say, it probably isn't. I can't really identify. It's fruity, but maybe it's some sort of hop I'm not used to. Golden oats. Oh, okay. It's oats as well. Maybe pears. But now, I don't know if it's warming up, but it got more perfumey. But I kind of recognize the malt profile from the German lagers, kind of maybe the Helles. Like when you have made white bread yourself, and there is still a bit of that yeast flavor, you know, and some lemon again. It's interesting, but let's have a taste. Cheers. Or cheers. Very refreshing. And then a surprising malt bite in the end. Orange zest. Yeah, very zesty. That's nice. More that than honey. And then kind of a dry rye bread finish. Yeah, so it's fruitier than German lager or pilsner. So I guess it qualifies. But yeah, I enjoyed that more than I thought. Oh man, this is only number 5. How will this end? But this is Dalalager from Oppigårds brewery. And Dala means it's associated with Dalarna, which is, what's it called? The literal translation is landscape, but I'm not sure that's what you say in English. It's kind of like the county, but smaller. Also one of my favorite breweries. More sharp aroma. You kind of wake up all of a sudden. It's all about the lemon here. And something kind of like gooseberries. Could also be a bit of that boiled strawberries I sometimes get. It smells more like a sweet spirit. Maybe something bready in the background. Let's dig in. Skål. Oh yeah. Ooh. Definitely the fruitiest so far. Again, orange zest, but also that little fruit or berry called physalis. It has a nice malt base, freshly baked white sourdough bread, which you have sprinkled some herbs on top of. So the bitterness feels noble hoppy, kind of European hops, and the aromatic hops feels American. I'm already an expert. This is very nicely balanced. It's sweet, but it's not mildly nauseating as the Kona was. This is sweet, but also herbal and a bit bitter. Next up, Italopils from Stockholm Brewing. So the closest brewery to me, I guess. So this should maybe have a different labeling, Italian Pilsner, but because there are so few of them brewed, and it's pretty close to modern lager / India Pale Lager, it is in great company. So we'll see if there actually is any difference. It seems to be paler if you compare to Brooklyn Lager, which is the most amber one, the darkest one. It is a big difference, but if we compare to Kona, it's almost the same color. So the Italian Pilsner has a similar story. A brewer in Italy, pretty recently I think, wanted to make a traditional kind of Czech or German Pilsner, but add the modern hops like they do in the US. And I know there are people that love this style. Let's see if we can get a nose. It's an impressive head. It has a little bit of soap aroma, which worries me. It could be disappearing with the foam, maybe. This is the kind of aroma and taste I sometimes get with session IPAs. I don't know what it is. It might be a specific hop, but I have a hard time enjoying those kind of beers. It's still there, but now it's softer. It could be a mix of lemon and pineapple, but without any of the sweetness, just added sourness. It smells better when the foam disappeared. I get a bit of compact rye bread. And if I'm looking, a bit of orange zest. This will be interesting. Salute! Okay, first impression. This might be a style of its own, after all. Let's see, are the hops specified? No, but it's probably a hop that is pretty popular, because I recognize both the aroma and the flavor, and I'm not a fan. It's kind of pineapple, if you're nice, but to me it goes too much towards the soapy flavor. It's still a nice contrast to the other beers. It has medium to low bitterness and a faint white bread malt base. Yeah, maybe I'll try it again in a year or so. Next up, the cheapest beer of the night. I can't still understand how they can make this beer so cheap. But it's owned by Spendrups. This is called the Pistonhead Haze Lager by Brutal Brewing. It was started by employees at Spendrups, one of the largest beverage producers in Sweden, as the craft brew business kind of was elevated in Sweden to have their own playground and make kind of experimental beers. And I guess when you have a large producer in your back like that, it's possible to make really cheap beers and almost make no profit just to fight your way into the craft beer scene. Let's have a sniff. A lot of foam still. Really fruity. Lots of tropical fruits. It's still something not super fresh, but I think it will disappear with the foam. I should have poured it more carefully. Yeah, but it's already better. This is more of a spicy passion fruit kind of aroma. I'm thinking of arugula, grassy, peppery, very fluffy white bread. A little bit of pineapple maybe. It's amazing. Such a cheap beer has this kind of aroma. Let's dig in. Skål! The first thing was kind of almost dank or more stinging, needly grassiness. And then came all the fruits, passion fruit, orange, and then a nice herbal bready finish. It's almost a little bit buttery, like you have freshly baked white bread with a bit of butter on top. A bit of lemon or lime as well, and lemon zest. We will compare them side by side at the end, but for this price, this is amazing. Only 4 to go. The next one, Lupo Pils, is from one of my new favorite breweries, Remmarlövs brewery in Scania, Skåne. I tried to imitate the Scanian accent. So it's from the south of Sweden. It was not far from the Italopils, which I thought smelled like soap. But this is fresher. Maybe it's a similar hop, but one that I like better. It's sugary, like a cake with honey. Oh, it's so much honey. Like expensive honey. A cake with honey. It's a little bit like that. What's that Chinese tea called? That is a bit smoky. Lapsang Souchong. My parents used to drink that tea in the mornings. It has lemon, if I didn't say that. And maybe, I don't know if you have them in your country, but it's a brand called Fincrisp. So we have very thin, nutritious bread bars. I kind of get a little bit of that. I'm intrigued. Let's dig in. Skål! It's drier and not as fruity as I expected from the aroma. It's refreshing. You get a nice malt finish together with a medium bitterness. There's orange zest again, lemon, a soft herbal note, and a nice white breadness late in the aftertaste. I got something more tropical. Yeah, I'm not sure, but this one was also really nice, very well balanced. I can still feel the nice aftertaste from the Lupo Pils, but now it's time from Dry Hop Helles. From Jämtlands brewery, or Bryggeri. This was a lively one. And the Jämtlands Bryggeri is interesting because right when I think I figured out their style, they make something else. So at one point my favorites were, figs, butterscotch, soft, round English-styled ales. And then all of a sudden, the next beer was super bitter. So we'll see what kind of beer this is. I think I've had it before. There's that hop again, maybe. Hint of soap, but hopefully it will disappear. Blue cheese. Yeah, it's like a Stilton. That's so interesting. Also pineapple, and is that passion fruit again? Maybe it's more like passion fruit, and now the Stilton is fading. I could smell this beer forever. Also sweet oranges. Does it say anything? A dry hopped lager beer with the noblest of hops from the Pacific Northwest. Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure where that is without looking at the map. But modern hops, of course. Yeah, super interesting aroma. Let's dig in. Skål. It's Stilton in the flavors. That is so interesting. But it is fruity as well. It's either herbal, spicy passion fruit or Stilton, or a mix of the two. I don't get a lot of the malt base. There is a little bit of white bread in the finish. Pretty low bitterness. This is super interesting. I really enjoyed this. It's definitely the most surprising flavors so far. Whew, only 2 to go. Gotlands Bryggeri is also owned by Spendrups. This is their Wisby Lager. Wisby is the main city on the island of Gotland. And I know they have a small brewery there where they make test batches. But then when the production ramps up, they move it to Spendrups' main brewery in Grängesberg. But I heard they were building a new brewery on Gotland. I'm not sure about that though. Let's see what this smells like. I think that was pretty similar to Brooklyn Lager. Or was it Innis Gunn? Yeah, maybe it was that one. Also malt forward. Most of these beers had a more hoppy aroma, and it was hard even to notice the malty side. But this is more malty than the hoppy, I would say. It also has some sweeter notes. It's butterscotch, I think. Kind of longing for Christmas now. Spicy butterscotch. Rye bread, compact rye bread. Orange, smells inviting. Skål! Yeah, the butterscotch comes back in the flavor as well. Orange zest, syrup. It's something herbal. Low malt base again. Some kind of white bread. Or maybe more oaty actually. Like digestive biscuits. But just small crumbs of it. Pretty high bitterness for the style comparing to the other ones. Medium to high bitterness. Yeah, not bad. Alright, the last one. Which is Nils Oskar Trooper. This is a collab with Iron Maiden, if I understood things correctly. So maybe, it's possible to drink this, at least in the US. So it's meant to be a rock festival beer, I guess. There's that hop again, which is pineapple, but could fall over to a soapy character. But here it's more a herbal, spicy pineapple. Lemony, definitely. I think this is going to be really refreshing. Ripe, sweet orange. Yeah, a little bit of that Lapsang Souchong tea I mentioned earlier. And again, I don't get the malt base really. Let's dig in. Skål! It's lemon. It's not super clear, but it's kind of a little bit of pineapple and mango mixed in with the lemon, going vaguely towards the gooseberry territory. Some nice white bread late in the aftertaste, together with some of those dried green herbs you can sprinkle on. Yeah, it's also pleasant. Maybe not the favorite this evening. This is what the beers look like side by side. And you can see they go from amber to pale. And maybe let's try to taste through them one more time. Although I don't know if it's fair. Maybe I should fill up some of the glasses here to my right, to your left. Because they are the warmest right now. Maybe this one actually got better. Yeah, I kept all the bottles and the cans in the fridge in the meantime. So maybe now they are more evenly cold. Brooklyn Lager. It's still pleasant. If you love your bready notes and you like kind of that butterscotch sweetness. Now the second time at least I wanted more spices, herbs, bitterness and fruits. So maybe not the best of ratings. Lilla Hawaii, Little Hawaii. Pineapple on top of a lot of fruity notes. Yeah, this is so much more balanced, if that's what you call it. But it has more herbal qualities, a little bit more bitterness, and also more of the fruity aromaticity. I actually bought the t-shirt even before I tasted the beer. Such a nice design. Kona Longboard. It's sweet, it's fruity. For someone not really into beer, but love their tropical or fruity drinks, this could be a way into the beer world. But to me, I want more dimensions to a beer, I think. Innis Gunn. Yeah, I still get that barrel aging. Strange. Dry rye breadiness and a bit of orange. It's not one of my favorites, unfortunately. Oppigårds Dalalager. Somehow, I'm not sure this is true, but this tastes more expensive. Like they have really made an effort to add those aromatic fruity hops late in the brewing process. That physalis / passion fruit, I guess. This is just a beautiful beer. And now from Stockholm Brewing, that Italian Pilsner, Italopils. Does it still taste like soap? The aroma is better. Yeah, no, it's just not my thing. If you know which hop I'm talking about, please let me know in the comment section. And then we had the Pistonhead Haze Lager, the tropical fruits and the stinging nettle. I still can't understand. Are they cheating somehow? If this beer is dry hopped like it tastes it should be, I don't think they make any money making this beer so cheaply. The one thing I would say is the aftertaste, it just fades away. But the other beers, the more expensive beers I've liked here, have a really nice, long, lingering aftertaste as well. So Remmarlöv or Remmarlöv in Scanian. This is really fruity and fresh. Yeah, I enjoy this one as well. It has a higher malt base than most of the beers, together with a nice fruity side. The oranges, gooseberries, and then the dry hop Telles from Jämtlands Bryggeri. This was the Stilton. I love this beer, and it's so strange. I have to tell Anna about this. We have made 2 videos together, and both times we have tried a Stelton or Stelton-like cheese to the beers. And this actually kind of includes the Stilton. And then we had Wisby Lager from Gotlands Bryggeri. It's interesting because it kind of moves towards the British ales with the butterscotch, almost a little bit of syrup. But in the style, India Pale Lager, not my favorite. And lastly, from Nils Oskar, the Trooper. It's super fresh and fruity. Let's compare with the Pistonhead Haze Lager. In comparison, it kind of fades away a little bit. So for the price, the Haze Lager is amazing. But if you just remove the price aspect, the Nils Oskar Trooper is so much more vivid, fruity, fresh, just tastes more, you know? So if I somehow should do a top 5, these are the ones I would recommend. Lilla Hawaii Lager, Dalalager, Remmarlöv, Jämtlands Bryggeri och Nils Oskar. And if you want a really cheap beer, buy the Pistonhead Haze Lager. Check out my other Swedish beer videos in this playlist. Thank you for watching, and remember, drink responsibly!